Okay, welcome to lesson 3. We've got lots more to cover on the head features. We're going to go straight in and we're going to do more detail on the head. In the meantime, I've been trying to smooth down the head and make it look more female-like. It takes lots of trials and error to get it to exactly where you want it to be. This is the best I can probably get. It's close enough for a fantasy female head. So without further ado, we're going to go straight in. Let's go smooth over a little bit. Going to increase the topology now. So I'm going to press R. Could put the voxel limit to say 0.014 or something. Yours might look a little bit different, but don't worry. The higher we're going to make the topology really high now, and then smooth it all over. And then we're going to start to work on the ears. Now the ears take a very long time to do. You can put as much detail or as little detail as possible. I've seen a few decent artists on some ideas on how to do the ears, and I'm going to try and use that technique. Okay, I'm just going to speed this up as I'm just going to smooth over the head after I've remeshed it. Just making sure not flattening down too much. Just give it a quick old rundown. Smooth it over. You can use the grab tool, hold shift, or draw tool and hold shift. And then we're going to start working on the ear. Just going to redo the ear a little bit. I was going to go for the elvish kind of looking ear, however I've changed it a bit and make it into a normal ear. Just going to push the sides in and around. Probably going to change it as well a little bit later, that's not a problem. Just using the grab tool to push and drag and smooth it down. It takes ages and it can take a while to model an ear. I'm terrible at doing ears, as you can see. Just need to get the proportion, the size right. I might have to move it up a little bit. Might be too low down, maybe. But yeah, we'll see in a bit, and that should be okay for now, I think. Right, okay, so let's do the detail in the ear. So we're going to increase the topology a little bit more because I've noticed it's a little bit too low for when I'm using the draw sharp. So let's press R to change that to somewhere like 0.1 and then Control R to then remesh it to that size. So that should now be easier now to sculpt the detail into the ear. So we're going to start with the draw sharp, and I'm going to up the strength to 1 and turn the pen sensitivity off. This is because my pen sensitivity settings was not set properly, but it is now. So you can use this with the mouse as well. Actually, the mouse might be a little bit easier to use for the beginning bit, and then maybe the pen later on. But it can all be done as just trial and error. It takes a long time to master the sculpting an ear. It can take hours, or days, months, years even, to just sculpt one piece of anatomy on the body. I'd say it's one of the hardest things to do is the ear. But as you can see here, as I'm using draw sharp, using control to push in the geometry, and then I'm holding shift to smooth it down. So let's get the outside of the ear. As you can see there, we've got the outside of the ear in sort of like a G, sort of like a 9 sort of shape, and then we're going to put in some like a Y in the middle to make it come loop back down and around at the bottom. It's very tricky ears. It's been a while since I've done this, so when we're sculpting this, it's just keep your eye on where the grooves are, and then just see and push the geometry in. I'm going to speed it up in a moment because we're just trying to get the shape of the ear correctly, and as you can see, Here is where we'd push into the ear as it goes into the ear hole. I was just making sure the geometry of the ear is all set nicely, and I'm just sculpting it over and pushing it in and smoothing it over, and then holding control to getting them edges to go in deeper. I'm going to reset my pen back to normal now. So I just changed the strength back down to 0.5. And now just smoothing it over a little bit. It looks a little bit too much detailed at the moment. That's okay, because what we're going to do in a moment is use the grab tool to push the ear up. We're going to create the earlobe in just a moment, and then that should be all good. Okay, just going to switch over to the grab tool and push the ear hole in a little bit, trying to keep the curvature of the ear in the same as much as possible. So I'm just trying to grab and move the inner ear like so, and then smooth it around a little bit. I may come back to this later on just to make the detail probably a bit sharper. It's a lot of trial and error. It's really difficult sometimes. It takes a long time and many hours of practice on trying to get it as perfect as possible. So as you can see, it's taken me some time to model the ear, and I've kept the video sped up because does take a lot of time in order to model and sculpt certain features on the face. It's always good to have a look at, sometimes now and again, have a look at like reference images and pictures if you're new to modeling and sculpting in 3D. It can be very tricky. The main tools, again, all I'm using here is grab. If you need to use the inflate tool just on the edges of the ears, you can totally do that and bring out the outer lobes of the ears. I'm just finishing a few touches now on the ear. And now we're going to go on to the eye. Now this is the hardest part that I think is one of the hardest to sculpt. Now as you can see, I've got the bulges in the eyes, which I've kept there because we're going to use the top as the eyelid and the bottom as the bottom eyelid. So I'm just trying to find the best method of putting in the top eyelid with the eye beneath. I have used the radius quite small on this and pushing it in with the jaw sharp tool. Just hold control, push it in, and move your mouse or your pen along the line to push it in, and then just smooth it over if you need to. I accidentally smoothed over the eyelid. Just smooth the eye over and push the eye in, and you want to keep the upper eyelid on top. It's very tricky on this process. I've tried so many times. This is the best footage I was able to record when modeling this avatar. Again, if you just look at some references on the eyes, I'm sort of going for a fantasy character, trying to imagine the eyes in my head. I don't have a reference image at this point, but if you're following along, feel free to look at some examples, and hopefully you can do an eye better than myself. So we're just going to draw the eye underneath. So again, draw sharp and hold control to push it in. Don't forget to save your project now and again, or always create a backup save on a separate file. So as you can see, after I've cut out the eyes and the eyelids, I've then pushed in the eye, and then I'll get the grab tool and start pulling out the eyelid a little bit, and then smoothing it down. So I'm grabbing it out, smoothing it down, grabbing it out, smoothing it down, until I get to the shape and size which would hopefully be in proportion with the head, and it will look like it's in the right place. Again, this has taken me quite some time. This can take you hours and months, years even, to do something as tricky as this. I know a lot of artists that have taken 10 years to perfect something like this, and it's insane on how much work and time you have to dedicate into sculpting and modelling. As for myself, I've been doing it for a couple of years and it's still very, very tricky. Even the pros mess up at times. So I'm just going to finish off the touches of the eyes, make that smooth, use the grab tool. I'll probably make that a little bit shorter in the middle. The eyeballs will be important, and we will get to that in the next lesson hopefully. And just giving it a few touches over, bringing it in, making it smaller, making it a little bit neater and tidying it up. I'll probably just go around the top bits of the eyes and the bottom bit of the eyes just to smooth it all out. Well, anyway, I hope you've learned a lot in this lesson. We've got so much to cover in the next one.